Hi there, everybody. It's Dallas Travers, and I want to welcome you back to Coaches on a Mission. This is the podcast where we use real-world coaching skills to strategize and problem solve, and of course, take tangible action toward that profitable client-centered business that we're all working towards. So, like I said, I'm Dallas Travers. This show is dedicated to helping coaches just like you build a business that they are truly and deeply proud of. Now, my guest today is Christina Larocco. She helps nonfiction writers who have accumulated years of research or sometimes a lifetime of knowledge, and now they're facing a project that's just too big and too layered to manage on their own. And what Christina is so good at is helping these writers reduce that complexity into something that they can shape and sustain and move forward with. So, Christina, welcome to Coaches on a Mission. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Dallas. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. That was a lovely intro.
Oh, thank you. Well, now you've got it recorded. You can listen to it every day if you want. So you have been in the Hive for a while now, and I'd love to just make our way into the conversation today by asking you how it's been going in your Hive journey.
Sure. So I've been in the Hive. I was thinking about this the other day because I know you often ask this for a year and a half.
I was going to guess
point.
Exactly a year and a half. Yeah,
Which
you're really close to that.
I can't believe. So obviously it's going well because I'm,
You're
I'm
still
committed. I'm all about the Hive. So no, it's going really well. And, you and I have talked before about how the biggest thing, what's been the biggest turning point for me so far was Bundlicious.
Mm-hmm.
Which took my mailing list from about 0 to about 650, which for me was amazing. So that felt like a huge, huge victory to me.
Did you have a moment of panic at all during that when you started to see email subscribers coming in? Like, was there a part of you that was like, crap, now I have to email these people? Or like, what was that part of it like for you?
I will say not so much during the process, but now every time I go to email my list. So, I have a few people unsubscribe every time, which is fine. But every time I go to email my list, there's a moment where I'm like, ugh, more people are going to unsubscribe. Is it really worth it to send this?
Totally.
But I always do.
Yeah. You know what? I'd love to offer this before we get going, and maybe it'll land for you. Maybe it's meant for someone who's listening today. But this was liberating for me way back when I used to have that same feeling and just kind of take unsubscribes really personally and spend too much time thinking about it. And I realized that when my content is good, it helps people make a decision. And sometimes that decision is to just like print the email out and follow it like a checklist, right? Sometimes that decision is to archive it for later or forward it to a friend or even just sit and contemplate whatever the message was. Sometimes that decision is to get off the list. And I love unsubscribes now because if you have unsubscribed, you now have decided that I am not the person for you, which means you have a little bit more inbox freedom, one less voice crowding things up, and I get to focus more directly on the people who want to be there. So as soon as that happened, that realization, and also my mom has unsubscribed from my email list twice. So like, why did you get back on it, first of all? But secondly, like, what do I can see that you've unsubscribed, right?
Oh, it's not enough when my mom read my book. I don't want her on my email list.
Right? Yeah. But as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, okay. Well, this is just like what's going to happen. And now I honestly look forward to it. In fact, whenever we launch, we aim for a higher percentage of unsubscribes than I'm used to getting, because that tells me, great, people are making a decision. And my work here is going exactly as it should be because people are deciding.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, and it still, feels vulnerable and you might cringe before you hit send, but that mindset shift has just been so liberating for me okay, so I know we are not here to talk about unsubscribes. Can you fill everybody in on what it is you want to coach around today?
Sure. Gosh, where to start? I'll start sort of with the current dilemma, and then maybe we can fill in backstory and context as it's helpful. So when I first signed up to be on the podcast, I thought we were going to be talking about how to find more clients because this has been my perennial problem, even
Mhm.
through 3 rounds of client search, through trying this, that, and the other thing. Even after Bundlicious, which, as I said, in so many ways was so successful to me, I think I ended up with a lot of fans, but not necessarily potential clients. So for a while I was thinking, gosh, am I aiming at the wrong people? And I thought about tweaking my audience a little bit. But then I realized that the question is actually much more fundamental
Mhm.
than that. The question is really, what kind of life do I want? What kind of work do I want to build my life around? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized it's not coaching per se. It's writing, it's ideas, it's teaching, public conversation, workshops, work with clients, but I imagine that as one thing that supports that work. So I think it's in part an identity shift from thinking of myself as a coach first and foremost to thinking of myself as a public scholar and drawing on that background more. But of course,
Yeah.
this raises a whole host of other questions. How do I talk about what I am, what I'm doing? How do I build an audience around ideas rather than services? And is there a sustainable business model that can support this kind of life?
Yeah. Okay, I'm just jotting down your questions here. So before we dig into your questions, what did it feel like for you when you came to this more fundamental question?
It felt like an aha moment. Yeah.
Yeah, say
Yeah.
more about that.
Yeah. So I think part of it is that I recently left my longtime job, which was a wonderful job. It was as editor in chief of an academic journal. I was there for
Mhm.
10 years, loved it. It was great, but it was time to
Yeah.
move on. And I think it was just a couple weeks after that ended that I started to get so excited about getting back to my own writing. And
Mhm.
I realized like, oh, this is what really energizes me. This is what really excites me is playing around with these weird big ideas and asking weird big questions. And the more I got back into that, the more I realized, oh, I'm not a coach in
Right.
certain ways.
Yeah.
I'm a writer. I'm a thinker. And I love coaching and I'm good at it, but that's not at my core who I am, I think. So it was kind of a huge relief, because for so long I've been thinking, why can't I make this work? And
Yeah.
it's working to an extent, but why can't I make it work more? And I think maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
came to mind for me. So I'm going to let our listeners in on a little backstory.
Mm.
So Christina filled in her application, and we always ask people like, "What is it you want to coach around?" And then, alert, alert! Christina's topic has changed. Which I love it when that happens. I was saying to you, Christina, like I'm really good on the fly, so great. Like try to stump me, right? And then I logged on about a half hour before we were set to record, and I read your question and thought, I have no idea where this conversation is going to go, but this feels so right to
Mm-hmm.
me. So I just want to
Mm-hmm.
reflect like the energy that you're speaking about this with and the way that you wrote about it. Boy, it sure sounds like home.
Yes. Yes. Very much so. Very much so.
So
So
go ahead.
it's scary in a way, but it's so exciting. It
Yeah.
feels so right, Dallas.
Yes. So I heard you share 3 questions that have now come up.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you realize, yeah, coaching can be a part of it, but I don't want to build a business around coaching services. I want to
Mm-hmm.
build a business around ideas. I
Yes.
want to really position myself as this public scholar and
Mm-hmm.
thought leader, thought provoker,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
rather than just like a service provider.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 things came up. Number 1, how do I talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, like, can I, and if so, how do
Yeah.
I build an audience around
Mm-hmm.
ideas rather than services? And then lastly, is this a good idea?
Right.
Is this a sustainable model?
Is it at all doable? Yeah.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of anyone who has they don't have to be a public scholar, but anyone
Mm-hmm.
who has what looks like a profitable, sustainable business model that's built more on ideas
Mm-hmm.
than on services?
Yes. So there are two people who I keep coming back to as models.
Yeah.
They're both writers and thinkers who I really admire, but they also, teach and do workshops and speak. The first is Jenny Odell, who's
Mhm.
the better known of the two. She's just known for her first book was Do Nothing, and it's about attention and paying attention and what we choose to pay attention to and not to pay attention to. But she has built a whole portfolio that encompasses not just writing, but a lot of different things. And then the other person whose work and sort of just professional intellectual positioning I really, really admire is a writer named Katherine May.
Mhm.
And she has written about wonder. She's written about winter. She's written about walking. I don't know why that was so alliterative, but I don't believe she has a full-time affiliation with the university. I know Jenny Odell at least once did,
Yeah.
but she writes essays, she writes books. She has a course based on the ideas in her book, not aimed at writers per se. So those are the kind of people that I'm interested in. People who are, just very idea driven, but have somehow managed to make their ideas interesting to people. And not just interesting, but, monetizable,
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah. So those are the two models
Okay.
I've really kind of glommed onto.
Okay. Great. So, where do you want to start? Is this a sustainable model? How do I build an audience around ideas rather than services? Or how do I talk about this?
Let's start with how do I talk about this?
Okay, great. So, how do you talk about this?
Yeah, that's my question. So I guess maybe I should say that, first of all, this doesn't come out of nowhere.
Right.
I
Clearly.
am, yeah, I am trained as a historian. I've published two books, one of which was a narrative history and one of which was a hybrid memoir biography. I've written tons of essays. So it's not coming out of nowhere, right? I
Yep.
didn't just one day wake up and think, I want to live the life of the mind. I want to be a thought leader and public intellectual. It really goes back in a lot of ways to things that have been a fundamental part of me for a
Yeah.
really long time. So certainly I feel like that's something I can leverage.
Mhm.
I do have a lot of credentials. I do have a lot of experience. As I said, I was an editor for over 10 years. So, but that's about what I am and what I do, not so much about what I think and what my
Believe.
ideas are and believe.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So, here's what's coming up for me. I want to know how it lands for you. I wrote it down here. Like, what is your stance? So
Yeah.
I don't know much about Jenny Odell or Katherine
Mm-hmm.
May, but so here's like the story I'm making up about them
Yeah.
is they have quite a body of work, and I'm sure
Yes.
it has evolved over time, but it likely began when they started monetizing it and building an audience around it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna guess it began with a core stance or belief or
Mm-hmm.
curiosity. So the person that's coming to mind for me is Gretchen Rubin.
Okay.
Are
Mm-hmm.
you familiar with Gretchen
Mm-hmm.
Rubin? So remember way back, she had a book called The Happiness Project. And that was kind of a memoir. It's almost like a diary around her exploration of what it means to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's been quite an evolution, but it started with this like public curiosity and then
Mm.
sharing her experience and ideas around that. So I think the way we talk about what you do is to ask an even deeper
Yeah.
question, which is, what do you believe?
Okay. Right. And the way you phrased that, it made me think that maybe another way to think about that is what do I want to be curious about in
Yes.
public?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm. So right now I'm working on what's kind of a memoir in essays that has to do with my dad's illness and death and being diagnosed with autism all at the same time. I'm pretty close to being through with a draft of that one. So that's, that is what it is. When I think beyond that to other projects and questions I might want to explore, I've been really drawn lately, and this actually I think reflects my DCPS and the work I've been doing. I've been really drawn lately to the question of abundance.
Mhm.
and how and when it is a problem, how we can live and work in a world where there's too much information, too much advice, too much content, too many books than we can ever consume and internalize and optimize, that it can be really difficult to get started. So, I think in a way it is kind of the same question I have been dealing with in my coaching. Because it's like, how do we make meaning? Yes, that's it. How do we make meaning out of a life, out of a world where there's just too much everything?
Yes.
Hmm.
I I'm having a light bulb moment because this is just like a deeper version of the work that you've been helping your clients do, which
Yes.
is you've accumulated all of this information. How do we now make sense of it?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So that was really, I didn't even realize that was, I mean, I had thought that I came to that niche because of my experience as a historian, because of my experience working with my own research and others' research. But I think it's something, it represents an even more fundamental worldview than that, I think.
Totally.
Yeah.
For the purpose of our conversation today, can we call this the abundance paradox?
Yes.
Great. Let's call it the abundance
Okay.
paradox. So I'm going to just take a step toward the audience who's listening, and I'm going to walk all of you through the process that Christina and I are organically carving out just through this conversation. So when you find yourself asking, like, is this even a good idea? Can I actually do this? Whether that's with your business or any sort of endeavor, I think the first step is, what are you curious about?
Mhm.
And then just opening up to where your curiosity lies, revealed for us right now, this thing that feels so clear, but also, oh, I've been curious about this for a long time. I just have different words for it now.
Mhm.
So if you think about Jenny Odell and Catherine May, we're making this all up, which is fun
Mhm.
because then we don't get to be wrong, right? These careers and models that you admire, is it accurate that they both started with some sort of a curiosity?
I would imagine so.
Mhm.
With Jenny Odell, it seems definitely so. Catherine May has several books, and I can't quite remember the
Right.
trajectory in which they were published. So I couldn't speak exactly how her interests have evolved, but I imagine so. It's
Right.
it's here's this idea. What are
Mhm.
all of the different ways I can look at this idea? It's very much an essayist question. I think it's the reason
Mm.
that some memoir and even some narrative history doesn't really speak to me, because I'm more interested in, like, okay, what happens if we look at it with this lens? What happens if we look at it through this frame? What happens if we look at it, this way? So yeah, I think that's very much what they do in their work. Rebecca Solnit is also
Mhm.
someone who does that.
Yep.
And I think that's just kind of the way my brain works.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Hmm.
Okay, so this curiosity you have, we're calling it the abundance paradox. How do you talk about it?
Right. Right.
Like you're at a barbecue this weekend and someone says, like, so what do you do? Imagine how you might talk about this.
Right. Yeah, because it can't be, I'm interested in making meaning out of everything.
It could
That's not,
be. It might be a short conversation, but it could be.
that's okay. I'm pretty introverted. Um, Gosh, I don't know. I don't know.
Can I give it a try?
Please. Oh my gosh,
Okay.
please.
Okay. Cool. So you meet someone and they say, so what do you do? And you say, I'm a writer, I'm a scholar,
Hmm.
and right now I have so much curiosity about this thing I call the abundance paradox. With information everywhere, with content, more content than we can ever absorb, I'm so
Hmm.
curious about how we as humans make meaning out of
Hmm.
so much noise,
Hmm.
which
That's
is
it.
just summarizing what you said to me, by the way.
Yeah,
So
that's
what we're
it.
what we're trained to do is like I help historians who have done
Right,
too much
right.
research, and that's not like, it's
Exactly.
like I am curious about this abundance
Hmm.
paradox,
Hmm.
right? So then so for today, as a working model, how does that feel?
That feels good.
Great.
That feels good.
So how do we begin to develop an audience around this
Mm-hmm.
idea?
Right. I mean, to an extent, I know how to do that. I know how to research and pitch publications,
Hmm.
for example. But beyond that, I don't really know.
Okay.
And I think that question really goes hand in glove with the third one about like, is this even something I can do, or am I just in complete denial?
No, no,
Okay.
you're totally onto something. This is where big things happen,
Okay.
especially when you have this idea. And then when you look at the idea with fresh eyes, you realize it's an idea that's been trying to get your attention for a very long time,
Yeah.
right? You're so onto something.
Mhm.
So let's both just fantasize for a minute. You don't have to say
Okay.
yes to any of these, but let's just fantasize about what building an audience might actually look like. The first idea that comes to me is, oh, guess who's going to have a podcast?
Oh, oh boy. Do you think so?
If you want to be a thought leader and a thought
Okay.
provoker and build a business around ideas, you have to have a
Mm,
platform where people can
mm,
hear you have conversations about your ideas.
okay.
So that could be a podcast, it could be a book. You
Okay.
already know what that
Yeah.
process is
Yeah.
like. It could definitely be guesting on other people's podcasts if you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
have your own. It could be a TED Talk. I would love to
Mm-hmm.
see you put a TED Talk together,
That's kind of a dream. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just got this thought, there's a world where you could charge for your newsletter.
I've thought about that every once in a while. I know people do that, and what they charge isn't prohibitively
Yeah,
expensive. So if they have a large enough following, it's a decent amount a month. So I have thought about that. And one of the ways I've sort of started to experiment with this is kind of pivoting my newsletter into here's this weird idea I've been thinking about this
yeah.
week, rather than just, here are 10 tips for writing your
Uh-huh.
research-based nonfiction book.
Mhm,
So that is an idea. That's
mhm.
certainly an
That's
idea.
kind of like the Substack model, right?
Yes.
Is you're bringing a newsletter to Substack and you have subscribers.
Right. Yeah. Right now I use Hive,
Uh-huh.
and it's only free, but that is something that, yeah, I've thought about looking into that
Yeah.
more.
Mhm,
hmm You know who else kind of is I want to be when I grow up is Anne Helen Peterson. Do you know
mhm,
her? Yeah,
mhm.
she's a scholar, but she's now mostly known as a cultural critic.
Yep,
And I think she pays her bills mostly through her newsletter.
her newsletter.
Hmm
So we have to think about where are the curious people,
Yeah.
right? This could be taking us a little off track, but I feel inspired to share, so I'm
Mhm.
going to. I was talking with someone yesterday who talking about how she just wishes she could have the success of someone of Jessie Jean, who just I don't know if you've seen it at all. She does this
No,
Yap challenge. She had this like $3 million launch, teaching people how to talk to camera on
Mm,
Instagram, right?
I have heard of that.
Which
Yes.
is fantastic. Like,
Mhm.
cheers to her, toasts, like, you go get it. And I said, one advantage that Jessie has is she's on Instagram talking and TikTok, talking about how to be on Instagram and TikTok.
Mm,
So it's sort of like you
mm,
going to a lecture hall where scholars and thinkers are gathered and
mhm.
then talking about how to think, right? And what your ideas are.
Yeah.
So, and I want to be really clear. I'm not giving even any shade. I love seeing people be successful. It's not about that. It's about, so back to my friend, she was just saying
Mhm,
like, but I could never make that happen on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, of course not, because you're not an Instagram expert.
mhm.
You're in the wrong town hall or the wrong village square. You got to figure out like where is the square where your people are hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dallas, okay, if
Yep.
you don't mind, I'm gonna
Go.
I'm gonna grab something you said and pursue it for a minute here. Could the business model in some way be some sort of service that is not aimed necessarily at helping people write a book, but at somehow helping them think through
Yes.
their own ideas?
Yes. Oh, but you're thinking way too small.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. That could be like a fun thing that you do, but I'm picturing either your own podcast or maybe you start by guesting on other podcasts.
Okay.
I have a Band-Aid on my finger. So for those of you who are watching this video, I have like a child's Band-Aid on my finger and I keep pointing with it and it's distracting, but I can't take the Band-Aid off. So here we go. So you're guesting on podcasts
Mm-hmm.
where scholars and thinkers, curious people are already subscribed. Great. Now
Mm-hmm.
we're at that village square. Doesn't that make a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sense? And
Absolutely.
then
Yeah.
you have a workshop series. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe the whole workshop series or the course, if you will, is not a curriculum led at all. It's a coming together to flesh out ideas,
Mm-hmm.
right? And make those things concrete.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking
Mm-hmm.
about my husband, who is probably the most creative person I have ever known. He's so creative. He's like a little bit weird. He's so creative and imaginative and just like so fun to be around. He has no shortage of ideas, but doesn't often like grab onto one and
Oh,
make it
yeah.
something. Think of how much you could help a an idea person like that.
Yes. And
And so now you're
you know,
doing speaking tours. And at the
yeah.
speaking tour, people then get to sign up for your weekend retreat in Vermont, where it's like an idea incubator. And they come feeling inspired and clear on the next 3 steps they're going to take around their big idea.
Yeah. Well, because, Dell is, I think part of what has always made me such a good editor is I'm really good at reading something people have put together or even, listening to them try to put together an argument while speaking. I think I'm really good at saying, here's what I think you're trying to do
Mhm.
and pushing them to understand that in a deeper way.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I'm envisioning.
Yes. You could have a membership program, right? Where it's just like co-working sessions every week for scholars and thinkers and curious people where you come and we're together and we're just working on whatever, but also like weekly group calls where you're just listening to people,
Hmm.
sharing their curiosities and helping them pull the next like level of clarity or depth out of that.
Yeah. And the other thing is that is completely relevant to the people that are already in my audience.
Yes.
The people that are already on my mailing list. So I don't have to worry that if I'm pivoting a bit, I'm abandoning them or going to this place that
Exactly.
has nothing to do with them. It's all part of the same thing.
Yes. And what's really cool is so your expertise are around ideas, right? And
Hmm.
helping people like crystallize the
Yes.
ideas that are just on the tip of their nose, but they don't quite have
Hmm.
it's too close for them to see,
Hmm.
right? And the content you put out is more autobiographical, where
Yes.
you are talking about your
Yes.
own exploration of the idea.
Hmm.
Not the idea of the day, but like the idea of the season, which right
Yes.
now is this abundance paradox.
Yes. That's really good.
This sounds so fun. I want to sign up. So you got to
But
get this going.
I will let you know when I launch.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're right. And that's kind of another question I had was I've always identified my clients as my audience, let's say, as writers. And I think
Hmm.
it still is, but I think it's not just writers.
It's like people who care about the who like humanitarians, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like people who are interested in the humanities,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or just human, like curious people,
Yeah.
people who want to use their
Yes.
brains.
Yeah.
Hmm. Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do I talk about this? We
Mm-hmm.
talk about like your stance, the thing you're curious about right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then the skill that you have, which is I'm just really curious about ideas and very
Yeah.
good at drawing them out of people and
I think that's
crystallizing them.
I think that's my superpower. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you
Mm-hmm.
get to use it. How do we
Mm-hmm.
build an audience? We think about, let's get more clear on this so it feels more actionable.
Okay.
But we identify the town squares
Mm-hmm.
where these curious people are hanging out and you make your guest appearances.
Mm-hmm.
So one of those is podcast pitching. What else? Let's make a list of like 5 town squares where you can
Mm.
start to infiltrate.
Okay. Okay. Podcasts would definitely be one.
Yep.
Guest blogging would
Yes.
be another. Guest blogging, and does it count as a third one if I say, submitting to other publications,
That's
or
the
is
same
that
thing.
okay? Darn it.
But starting your Substack,
Hmm.
right? I know you're using Honeybee, but maybe, I don't know,
Beehive, yeah.
or Beehive, sorry.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't
that's
think it's
okay.
as well known as Substack.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
couple of other Hive members who use Substack consistently have said that the biggest benefit, like the surprise benefit of doing that, is the connections they've made with other
Mm.
writers on Substack that have then led to speaking opportunities or referrals or
Okay,
collaborations.
okay,
So that's a really good example of like entering the town square,
okay.
right?
Yes, and that's not something that that Beehive has. And you know what else? That was actually that was one of the pleasant surprises to me about Bundlicious as
Yeah.
well, was that I had a reason to connect with so many other colleagues working
Yeah.
on similar things to what I'm working on. So that was very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So podcasts, writing on other people's sites, be it a guest blog or submitting to a more formal publication. We talked a little bit about monetizing the
Mhm.
newsletter via Substack or another platform. So that's
Yeah. What about guest speaking
yes,
or a TED
definitely.
Talk?
Definitely.
Great.
Yeah. Guest
So
speaking or workshops. I really enjoy doing those.
great.
Hmm.
So guest writing, having your own Substack, podcast, like being a guest on
Yes.
podcasts. Let's like put on your list in the next 12 months to do a TED Talk.
Okay.
TEDx, right? Like there's a bunch of TEDx's all over.
Yeah.
How cool would that be?
Ooh.
And then other guest speaking opportunities, whether that's coming in to even places like the Hive,
Hmm.
right? To come in and guest teach, doing a lecture, like being a part of a lecture series
Hmm.
at
Hmm.
your university. So there's our 5.
Okay.
I have one thing on the monetization list so far, which
Yes.
is
Yes.
you can have Substack subscribers. There's like a teeny tiny little bit of monetization.
Hmm.
What other monetization ideas come to mind? Let's see if we can come up with 5.
Yeah. This is one of the challenges for sure. Short of one of my posts going viral and agents and editors contacting me and wanting to offer me a multi-book deal.
Hmm.
I don't know. And I do want to keep working with people,
Hmm.
with clients on an individual basis. Again, I'm very good at it. I
Hmm.
like it. And I think I can help people on their books. But, as we've been talking about, that's one thing. That's not the thing.
Yes. Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, eventually I could imagine myself creating a course,
Hmm.
maybe either live or evergreen.
Hmm.
I don't know about a membership. That's never super appealed to me. But I won't write it off. I know that certain publications and certain speaking venues pay to an extent, but you have to be
Hmm.
very well known before it's something that can really sustain you.
Yep.
So I don't know. Is continuing to try to reach individual clients, is that still the best way to support myself?
Maybe. I have a list of 6 things here as you
Okay.
were
Oh,
talking.
wonderful. Okay.
Some of them are my ideas, some of them are things that you mentioned.
Hmm.
So, up first is a Substack. That's where your content's going out. People can subscribe. Again, like no one's like retiring off of that
Right.
at this stage, right? But that's I think we think about, let me slow down. I'm getting very excited. So, what I see for this business model is multiple streams of income,
Hmm.
right? That cumulatively keep you inspired and in consistent conversations about ideas,
Hmm.
but also cumulatively add up to something meaningful meaningful, sustainable revenue to support your lifestyle.
Mhm. Mhm.
So a tiny drop in that bucket is Substack. I could see you had this question about, is private client work the best path? I don't know if it's the best path, but I could see you delivering an extraordinary VIP day experience with someone,
Mm.
right? And for you, it may not be a full day. It could, look at the training. There's a lot of different ways to package it,
Yeah.
right? But just really creating this immersive experience for a client where they leave, like, first of all, feeling so enriched by the conversations around what they're curious about, but they leave with this deep understanding about
Mhm.
the thing they are most curious about and how they want to communicate that and what it actually means.
Mhm.
You could take that same model and turn it into like weekend retreats for small
Okay.
groups in like all the fabulous places you've ever wanted to visit around the world,
Right. Yeah.
right? That'd
Right.
be incredible. There's definitely the book deal, right? Idea. We got to put it on the list if it's going to happen,
Right,
right?
right, right, right.
I mentioned the retreats and the workshops, a
Mhm.
course, but almost like a suite of mini courses,
Mm.
right? Where because we don't ever want we don't ever want curiosity to suddenly feel like work,
Right.
right? So mini
Yeah.
courses around if you have this idea that you just can't shake, like how do you get clear enough about it to know whether there's a life to it? And it's a
Mhm.
quick little mini course. And then the last one, you poo-pooed it, but I'm going to bring it back to the table, which is a membership.
Okay, okay.
I think a lot of times we think a membership has to have a bunch of bells and whistles and
Mm.
tech. You could have, I'm pulling this number out of the sky, you could have like a $14 a month membership where every other Thursday, y'all are getting together on Zoom, having a conversation about an idea that's been bubbling in
Mm.
your mind.
Hmm.
And maybe every month there's a mocktail and a cocktail recipe. So I like make my own cocktail when I come to this thing. Like you could make it really feel like a social
Yeah.
club
Oh, that's cute.
that I think people would, and you could have chapters. So they could also meet in person, these different members. Like this could be so simple and light
It's like
lift,
almost a book club, but an
but no
idea
books.
club. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How great. You can be in the book club and you don't even have to read the book.
Well, I cannot endorse that message, of
Yes.
course.
Okay. No, 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 no. I forgot who I was talking to. Apologies. Apologies.
That's cool though. That's cool.
Right? So just
Mhm.
thinking about here's the assignment I'd like to
Okay.
give you if it feels aligned. Could you spend the next little while, maybe the next 7 to 10 days, dedicating 20 minutes a day or more to ideating, just letting the ideas flow and see, like we're using this whole concept of curiosity,
Mhm.
see where you're being pulled. So I'm just picturing you like out on a walk, right, in the evening. And the question you start with was, as a curious person and a lover of ideas myself, what kind of club would I like to be a part of?
Mm.
What kind of event would I leap at? Like, what's the experience I want to have? And then just start to notice which ideas, offers, really is what we're talking about here,
Mhm.
keep bubbling to the surface.
Yeah. That's really interesting. And I could envision like partnering that with, the essay I'm working on at the time, or, here's this essay I published, last month. I want to talk about these ideas.
hmm
Oh, that's really interesting.
It's really cool. Oh, there's a
Yeah.
podcast just waiting to be birthed here. I've said it. I've already said it. I'll let it go. But I would love this podcast. Just a
Oh,
podcast with
thank you.
listening to smart people talk about the ideas that are on their mind. Sign me
Mhm.
up. There's a podcast that I should pull it up that you should listen to if you don't already, called Deep Questions.
No, I don't know that one.
Mm, let me make sure I'm getting the name right. Deep Questions. Yeah. Deep Questions with Cal Newport.
I was going to ask if it was Cal Newport. Yeah, of course. I know his work. Mhm.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Do you feel like we've answered the third question, which is this a real idea?
I think so. I wonder if we could maybe talk a little bit about prioritization and very
Mhm.
short-term goals.
Yeah, great. So the part of you that wants to prioritize, like, let that part lead the conversation here.
Okay. Mm. Well, but maybe no, okay, maybe that's the wrong thing to do. Maybe the thing to do, which is kind of what I've been doing for the past couple of months, is working on the idea sort of thing. Because if that eventually is going to become an offer, if an offer is going to be based on ideas, the ideas have to be there first. Does that make sense?
It does. See, I like skipping a bunch of steps when I can.
Mm-hmm.
What would as a thought experiment, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
even just like looking for a sign. What if the next step, number 1, like literally ideating on this idea of ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked about. But number 2, you've got this email list of over 600 people. What if you sent out a few emails to that, maybe 3 emails talking about number 1, I came on this podcast and in that conversation realize that the work I have been doing up until now has like been guiding me toward
Mm-hmm.
this thing. So you announce it and you say, I'm workshopping this or I'm beta testing this, and I'd love to take on 3
Oh.
clients who are, and we would describe them, and like you've got an idea that's kind of brewing, but you don't quite know what to do with it or how to even articulate it.
Mm-hmm.
Come, we're going to have a 4 session journey together where the outcome will be like filling your creative cup because we're going to have deep conversations about ideas,
Mm-hmm.
clarity on this, how to talk about this curiosity that keeps knocking on the door, but you can't ever grab it, and
Mm.
clear steps about what you're gonna do with it. What if you just threw that out?
Love it.
Me
Love
too.
it. Sort of a mini, not masterclass. There's a term you use in the curriculum that I'm blanking on now. Not pods.
Power
Anyway,
group.
power group. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 people. Like, what I'm really good at is listening to the things you are trying to say but don't have the words for it and reflecting that back to you. So I'm gonna bring 3 people together and we're gonna meet for a month, like every Tuesday for a
Yeah.
month. That's the next step.
That's a really good idea. And that is still coaching because that's one of certainly your main techniques is let me reflect this back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
I do too. I just feel like a lot is going to be revealed as you talk about this before it's fully formed.
Yes. That's how ideas work. I know
Yeah.
as an idea expert.
Yes. Ooh, that sounds good. Absolutely. Okay. So we have 2 clear next steps. One
Hmm.
is this conversation with the group. So putting together a super easy beta offer for the audience you already have who are curious people with
Hmm.
ideas, right? And then the other is having that same conversation you're going to have with the group with yourself,
Yes.
just around just being so curious about
Yeah.
what could this actually be?
Yeah. I love how that balances a short term, really concrete,
Mhm.
implementable step with a longer term,
Mhm.
more thinkier stuff.
Yeah,
So that's very cool.
great. Okay. Is there anything else you want to touch on today before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I think this has been such a wonderful and such a helpful conversation. So thank you for rolling with it.
Yeah, you're welcome. The way you feel right now, the way we both feel, because I feel very energized,
Hmm.
is how every one of your podcast listeners, Substack subscribers, VIP day clients, retreat attendees, members in your membership are going to feel after being in a container with you.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Mhm.
welcome.
Mhm.
So before I let you go, let's just summarize for our
Mhm.
listeners. We started with the question, what are you curious about? And through that conversation, isn't it interesting how we realize, oh, this thing I'm curious about now, is part of my life's journey. It's not that new. It's not unfamiliar, but
Hmm.
now I'm ready to embrace it or go deeper or really, really run with it. From there, another thing I think was quite helpful was we identified where in the world does a version of this already exist? Which, when we have a fresh and new idea and we're not even sure if it's a good idea, finding a reference point or a model, for
Hmm.
me, Christina, can be very grounding and kind of like a confidence boost,
Hmm.
right? Like if it doesn't exist out in the world yet, maybe that's for a reason.
Right.
And then lastly, we got to just brainstorm and play and be like, just think about, okay, if we made money at this, what are all the ways we
Right.
could make money? And if we designed offers around this, what are all the ways we
Hmm.
could design offers? And that revealed a pretty simple first step, which is just like quick beta program where you're coming together and uh, relying on your natural genius to really serve people.
I love it. I love it.
Cool. Great.
Hmm.
So anyone who listening feels like has been telling yourself up until now, you've got to have something fully fleshed out before it gets to be real. I just want to invite you to question that hypothesis and see if dreaming about it and taking action toward that dream is actually the thing that makes it real. That's my takeaway from our
Hmm.
conversation today. All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show. This was a very enlivening conversation. I can't wait to see where it goes.
Thank you so much, Dallas. I'm
Yes.
really excited to take these ideas and run with them.
Great. All right. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you back here next Sunday. Bye-bye.